You ever had that one friend who seemed to be afraid of nothing? Like, just nothing ever phases the guy or anything like that. And then one day, a small Pomeranian walks up to him and he just starts freaking out. And you're like, really? This is what you're afraid of? That's kind of one of my initial shocked thoughts from this chapter. So, without further ado, hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1182, Zaza, which, as I learned, is apparently the onomatopoeia for rainfall, like heavy downpours in Japan. So, you can kind of understand it when you hear it, but we'll get into why that is important in a moment. But the artwork this week starts off with Fujitora. He is currently eating some udon that has been prepared by a fox and a tanuki. You know, it's interesting to see a fox and a tanuki work together. In my experience, they're usually not the best of friends. Usually the fox did something to upset the tanuki, or such as, you know, ruining their business partnership together and forcing the young tanuki to move to a home down on his luck where he had to become a real estate agent and eventually built a town up from the ground. And despite his efforts of trying to put a criminal past behind him, the fox just keeps showing up and selling counterfeit artwork. You know, that classic tale. But that's a whole nother story. That's really it for the art. We're going to get into the chapter itself, starting off where we left off. Imu just fighting against Nidhogg, aka Loki. Loki had just freshly blasted him into a wall, and as he is slammed against the wall of the, I guess the wall, it's either a wall of stone or a wall of ice, or it's the tree trunk. Not exactly sure what he got slammed into. But as he is there, he's like, yup, that's definitely Nidhogg. Haven't seen you in a while, ya filthy traitor. So, probably whatever the previous user of Loki's fruit did, either he was on Im's side for a bit and then betrayed him, or Imu just assumed they were friends and they never were friends to begin with. Either way, he does view Loki as a traitor, even though Loki didn't do anything, because remember, Imu has a really hard time separating the past from the present. Imu also starts to notice, though, that snow is falling from the sky, and that is because the lightning collides with the ice and it causes, you know, really rapid, what's the word? What's the word when water... Evaporation. Causes evaporation. And then it comes back down in snowfall, and he's looking around and he goes, yeah, okay, it's snowing. That's not weird, because the lightning combines with the ice powers. It's good to see you again, Ratatoskor, aka Ragnir the Hammer, as the squirrel on Loki's shoulders is looking at him, very upset. Turns out, pretty much everybody guessed this one. The hammer ate the squirrel fruit model Ratatoskr. So, yeah, it's the legendary ice squirrel, the messenger of the gods between the realms of Valhalla. We all kind of guessed that one, but sometimes it just feels really nice to have a theory that everybody automatically agreed on, and Oda's just like, yeah, there you guys go. Here's a low ball. Don't you guys feel good? You guys got that theory. Nice job, everybody. But it's pretty much just what it was. As Imu gets up, they continue to fight. Loki's able to turn his one beam of lightning into several smaller beams. During the fight, he does mention that as this giant dragon, Imu's really hard to keep track of. There are multiple times where Loki's just like, where did he go? So, yeah, the plus side is, as an ancient giant, the Nidhogger turns him into the most giantest giant that ever gianted dragon. But you become the equivalent of a human fighting a gnat. You know, if I tried to fight a fly, it's like that scene where in One Punch Man where he's trying to swat a fly, but it keeps getting away from him. It doesn't matter how powerful you are if you can't actually hit your target. But with that, we cut to Sanji. He has been heavily injured from that attack from Imu, and we learn that Killingham, because remember, Killingham said, Sanji, I will get you for this. He walks over and he goes, well, Mr. Sanji, look at you, all all on the ground and beaten up. I didn't even have to do anything. But now I've been powered up by Lord Emu, so I don't even have to bother with you. Ta-ta! I have many people to hurt," and he runs off. So naturally, Sanji's getting up. Lilith and Bonnie are, checking on him, making sure he's okay. And Sanji tells them, "I'm fine. I gotta get moving. I have to go stop that guy because this is Elbaf. This is the Elbaf. It is the land that Luffy and Usopp look up to. It is a very important place in their hearts, and basically the friend of my captain is the friend of me. Also, there's lots of giant ladies, and I need to go save them." So that's Sanji's true motivation. But with that, Sanji heads off. And I will say this is going to be a recurring theme in this chapter. I will be saying "meanwhile" a lot. Meanwhile, at the library, Robin and Saul are heading down the stairs. As Robin even mentions, who would have guessed that there was a secret hidden basement to the library that all the books got conveniently saved and taken down into. And I know, anyone reading this, anyone familiar with multiple tropes in manga, this seems like a pull it out of your butt excuse. Oh, well, yes, I know, I made it look really bad. This is Oda. I know I made it look really bad. The whole library's on fire. This is terrible. And, well, actually, that was just for tension. Tension is gone now. The books are all safe. Nothing is wrong. There's a basement here. See? Everything's fine and doesn't need to be explained. Is what most mangas would do and hand wave away. However, I really do appreciate that Oda took the time to have Saul look around this basement and say, yeah, it's really weird that there's a basement down here. Biblo, why did you know there was a basement down here when I, a giant who has been living here 20 years, did not know this? And Biblo the Owl's just kind of like, because as Saul then puts it, you're a very, very mysterious owl, Mr. Biblo. So, I don't know, maybe Biblo's got some other quirks about him. Maybe Biblo's just as old as Ragnar, and the two of them have actually just been taking care of all of Elbaf for God knows how long. And this was just another thing that Biblo's doing to make sure that the world is okay. I don't know. I would like to bring it up at this point now. Chopper can talk to animals. It would be absolutely wonderful if we could bring that back. I think, the last time Chopper legitimately talked to an animal, I think he might have spoken to Megalo. Back in Fishman Island, I would actually have to double check, because the only other time I can think of before that was Chopper talked to Cerberus at Thriller Bark. But imagine... Imagine just for a moment, we actually get our first Void Century flashback through the squirrel. Through Ragnar and Biblo sitting down with Chopper, and Chopper being like, "Okay, guys, I'm going to be the go-between. All right, guys, what happened 800 years ago?" And the squirrel, Ragnar, just says, "Finally, someone I can talk to. Okay, buddy, here's where it all began. It all started when..." And then Chopper tells us the story of the true history as Robin's reading a poneglyph for, footnotes or something. But Chopper can talk to animals. I feel like this is an underutilized thing, especially since it might turn out Chopper's not just the eater of the human fruit. Again, I really hope it's just the human fruit, but I think we're starting to move in a different direction. Meanwhile, my absolute favorite character in the story found a boat! As Sommers takes this big giant boat, because remember, he and Killingham have been supercharged by Emu. He takes a giant boat and he throws it over to the ocean, and he picks up his transponder snail and he goes, "Okay, Killingham, this is Sommers coming..." Sorry, this is Super Sommers coming in. Mind you, Killingham did not have to announce he was super. Sommers is the one who feels the need to compensate. This is Super Sommers coming in, and I have found a super boat that will make me even less relevant, because this boat will probably get destroyed too for comedic tension. Because that's usually how it works. Look at Marco and King. They both knock the big mom pirates off a ship because it's funny. So that ship's probably doomed. I'm hoping that's not the giant warrior ship, but very well might be. But regardless, he's calling and he says, "Hey, Somers here. I got a boat. Let's get this thing going." And then we cut away. Meanwhile, Chopper has reattached Gerd's thumbs. I also assume that he has reattached Sanson's leg. But as Chopper explains to Gerd, it was a very clean cut because, again, Lord Emu is perfect in every way. So even his attacks are precise and perfect. So it was a nice clean cut, which means all the nerves can be reattached. I have actually heard that if a cut is clean enough and you reattach fast enough, it is possible to maybe not restore them perfectly, but it is possible to restore limbs. Plus you take the fact that it's one piece, so Chopper's medical skills on top of this known medical science, Gerd's thumbs are probably going to be okay. We do see Roto worrying about her for a bit, and she even tells him, "Hey, it was pretty cool of you to save your brother. I actually earned a little bit of respect from me with that." And immediately his nose starts to bleed, and Roto's brother is just like, "Well, there goes the respect, but good job, bro." But again, meanwhile, we cut to the only functioning member of the giant warrior pirates left, Goldberg, who has, his enchanted shield, that's probably a homie, and Zoro is with him. As, Goldberg's running, Zoro says, "I appreciate you carrying me like this, my legs can't get me that far." And he goes, "It's okay, I'm the only surviving member of the new warrior giants." And I just love this dude's Sean Connery voice. I am so looking forward to hearing him in the dub. Because, yeah, in the Japanese sub, he probably still has that accent, but it's Japanese. I'm going to be honest, accents are really hard for me to pick up on when it's a country whose language I can't speak. So it'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to hearing him in the dub. I think we're about to get there. I don't know. It really depends on how Funimation moves. But as they're running towards, the problem, I assume, based on just the geographical movements of what's going on and who's after who, it seems like Zoro is going to head to Somers and Sanji is going to head to Killingham. It's actually pretty fair matchups there. One, I know Sanji can beat Killingham. We saw him do it before. And in typical One Piece style, Sanji is going to be fighting seriously this time. So I think Killingham is pretty much lost. And Somers is just really bad at everything he does. So I'm not really scared of that fight either. Plus, his devil fruit gets stronger the more love is in your heart. Zoro isn't exactly known for the cuddly feelings, so this might actually work out pretty well. But what interests me the most about Zoro right now is the fact that he is holding what seems to be some kind of medicine. It's either the medicine from Wano that the Minks gave him that, supercharge him, but at the cost of a lot of damage later. He almost saw the Grim Reaper. Or actually, he did see the Grim Reaper. He almost perished because of it. Or it's a Rumble Ball? I don't know why Zoro would have a Rumble Ball, so it's probably more likely the Mink medicine. But either way, Zoro's holding something, and it makes a little ping noise as he's, holding it. So maybe it's coated medicine? It can't just be like a ball bearing. That doesn't really strike me as something Zoro would use. I think it's some kind of medicine, but I would love to hear what anybody else thinks it is. And meanwhile, we cut back to Killingham, technically back to Somers as well, because Killingham calls him up on the transponder snails and says, "Hey, Somers, I'm sorry, Super Somers. What is it, Killingham? I mean, Super Killingham." Right. Anyways, we have a really big problem. Oh, whatever could it be? Well, you know how I have the power to summon nightmares of other people in the form of demonic entities? Yes. I may have accidentally summoned my own fear. I'm not exactly sure how. I just got really excited and I was like, I'm just going to summon every fear in the vicinity. I forgot I'm in the vicinity. I have summoned my greatest fear. And Somers is like, "Dude, I'm afraid of that too. Can you at least control it?" And he's like, I mean, it is a dream demon, so Yeah, probably. Which raises the question of whether or not Killingham might actually lose control of this dream demon. But with that, we see in the basically where all the children have been gathered safely, because remember, the goal is still kidnap the children, take them to Mary Joie, use them as ransom for the giants. We see a giant aquatic hand, just a big thing of water, just scoop up all the children and pull them out of the building. As we zoom out and Killingham says, "Ah ha ha! This was totally my plan! Allow me to explain," to both you, the audience, and to the people listening, because nothing beats a good villain monologue. Well, you see, as we live above the clouds, we hear of a terrifying entity that barrels down gallons upon gallons of water upon you unsuspecting dwellers. We who live above the clouds are afraid of rain. But not just any rain. I do want to clarify that. They are afraid specifically of the god of rain, Zaza. Actually makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, okay, look at it from the perspective of the celestial dragons. I know nobody likes to think about them in the sense that they are human, but they are in fact human. Imagine imagine an undiscovered tribe in Africa discovering that a drone exists. That's gonna freak them out. Imagine you spend your entire life living under clear skies. Water comes from a pipe found in your kitchen. Snow doesn't exist at all because you live in this wonderful temperate climate. Remember, the forests in Mary Joie are artificial because we actually see this. I don't know if it's not in SBS. It's either in the One Piece magazine or it's in one of the data books. But we actually do get a map of Mary Joie from a sky view. From like a bird's eye view. And we see off to the side a place labeled the Red Desert. This kind of implies that Mary Joie is a really bad place to live geographically. I mean, it is smack dab in the middle of a desert. Its forests are fake, its food is transported in, its water is probably brought up through some kind of piping system. It's an uninhabitable landscape that has been made perfect on the backs of slave labor. Now, zooming back in, imagine you're a little celestial dragon. You're just a little twerp. You believe slavery is okay, and you believe that you are predestined to rule the world because, you were just born here. All the terrible things about them. But in the innocent mind of a child who has been molded that way. Because not all of them are like Doflamingo, some of them are like Rosinante. You have lived your entire life under a clear sky. It is your 12th birthday, your parents brought you down to Sabaody Archipelago, and suddenly water starts hitting you from the sky nonstop, and there's nothing you can do about it, and your parents, who can command everything, are powerless against this mighty force. You'd probably freak out a little. So it actually, now Killingham does specifically say, beneath the clan of D and Nika, we fear rain the most. That's an interesting way to look at it. It also explains why they live so far away from the lower world. They're afraid of flooding. Now that's because the five elders, probably the God's Knights and Emu himself, they all know that the world is sinking and water is terrifying. But to everybody else, rain, it's just the fact that rain can happen must be terrifying to someone who has never experienced it. So with that, we have one final shot of Zoro and Sanji crossing paths. Sanji heading towards Zaza, Zoro heading towards Thorn Guy, and the two of them look upon each other and just say, make sure you get it right this time. Get the job done. And that's where the chapter comes to an end. Now, just a little bit ago, I did say I was very confident in the wings of our Pirate King, and I'm still super confident in Zoro's fight with Sommers. Zaza, on the other hand, looks like a woman. So, we're going to need someone else to back Sanji up here. Obviously, the Killingham fight's going to be fine, but he ain't attacking that, because even a boar zombie who was just very vaguely a woman, the very shadow of Sanji still wouldn't kick her. So I'm sure even the big scary cryptid zombie or demon, dream woman is still probably immune to Sanji. Speaking of women who are in peril, we're going to rewind a little bit, because Killingham also mentioned, as he was panicking about his summon, Gunko. Because Somers was like, oh, where's Gunko? Gunko's dead, at least from Killingham's perspective, which, no, she's not. Brooke's going to talk to her. We're going to get a flashback. Most likely what happened was Killingham was making his way towards, where he was going to summon Zaza by mistake, looked over, saw Gunko, and thought, oh, she's not moving. Well, she's dead. Because celestial dragons, they abandon people. What are you going to do? The only other thing that really comes into my mind with this is the rain god is real. I know we've been talking for a while about Chopper might have eaten the human fruit model forest god, and how, Luffy is the sun god, which confirms the sun god exists. So maybe other gods exist in the form of devil fruits. And people were like, well, what about this? What about that? But if you go back to Skypia, because it always goes back to Skypia, you'll remember that right before Kalgara's daughter was sacrificed to the gods, they mentioned specifically the god of the sun, the god of the forest, the god of rain, and the god of earth. That means there are 4 gods who, in some degree, either cause great calamity or great happiness. I assume that the rain god is probably worshipped in some parts of the One Piece world, probably more dry climates like the desert regions, because rain is a helpful thing in those areas. Just like how the celestial dragons fear Nika because he is the god of liberation, others probably worship him with joy in their hearts, such as slaves, because god of liberation. However you slice it, this all but confirms that there are definitely 3 other devil fruit users out there. One for the earth god, one for the forest god, who everybody is sort of leaning towards, probably might be Chopper. I hope it's not, but I also accept that it could be. And finally, the god of rain, which at first I was like, oh, okay, so we have 3 new characters to meet. Or we have a mysterious devil fruit user who, every time he has shown up in the series, save for, little cutaways, big giant storms accompany him. Big gusts of wind, followed by a downpour of rain. Cut back to chapter 100 when Luffy was saved from Smoker. That is right, dear viewers. I have reason to believe that Monkey D. Dragon ate the human fruit model Zaza. Which would make sense. We have all been speculating for decades that Dragon ate some kind of weather-related devil fruit. Wow, that's a tongue twister. What better weather-related devil fruit than the god of rain, Zaza? So, let me know in the comments below. I do like keeping this theory up in the air till it's proven real or fake. Do you think Chopper is the forest god? Do you think I am right that Dragon is the rain god? Do you think that the earth god has yet to be shown as a character? Or is it someone who we don't know yet has eaten a devil fruit? There's a few unrevealed devil fruit users throughout our series, and any of them could be it. Heck, for all we know, that is the awakening of the jacket fruit. It's actually the human fruit model earth god, and that's the reason he can become a giant. I'm just kidding. The jacket fruit's the worst of them all. So, again, let me know in the comments below what you think, and as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.